go into our next section, which is working with landlord property owners.
This is where the juicy stuff goes now. Y'all want to keep going? We've been going for 2 hours, or you want to take a quick break, or you keep going, Clarence?
I'm ready to keep going.
Let's go. Let's get it. Let's do it.
Mr.
Round up.
Daniel.
So listen, as we're going here, don't forget I'm going to have something in the video description if people need a further assistance. Clarence, if I put together a private group. So at the end, I'll drop that in the chat and in the video description how you can get joined up if you want us to stay on board with you for the next few months. We're going to be doing a private mastermind just for a few people. And also, we're going to offer you a property tour. So you're going to come with us for a day and just visit these short-term rentals right here in Virginia Beach in the Hampton Roads area. And it's going to be an amazing and actually an incredible event where we're going to actually electrify you to get started, to push you to actually take action talking to these landlords, y'all. A bus tour for you and a mastermind. And you're going to get a special thing today. Nobody else is going to get it after that because you're in the class today. Okay, Clarence.
All right. Working with landlords, property managers, other hosts. How do we find these properties that we can actually do rental arbitrage on? So here are some ways. These aren't the only ways. In general, I would say...
You make that a little bigger, Clarence?
Yes, sir. In general, I would say be creative. But you can search for rental listings. So Zillow, Craigslist. Sometimes Craigslist has a lot of spam stuff, so I don't tend to go to Craigslist anymore. But Zillow, multiple listing service. You can ride around, drive for dollars. Just look for signs that says for rent by owner. Even look for the signs that say for sale by owner. Call them up. Referral partners, networking, word of mouth. I am a strong advocate of networking. I'm a serial networker. And before I was introduced to Mr. Haskins in the way of having an internet presence, I relied on word of mouth, networking, and referral partners. And so, for example, there's so many types of networking events or organizations you can be a part of. I didn't make a slide about this, but I'm just going to break down different types of networking organizations you can be a part of. There's, you have casual contact networking groups. These are going to be things such as a chamber of commerce where a lot of folks will congregate. You get to meet people, say who you are. Sometimes they have events, educational events. So casual contact networking groups. You have strong contact networking groups. An example of that is BNI. I'm a member of BNI, actually a former director of BNI. And that's an organization where a strong contact group is where you meet on a periodic basis and you have a group of professionals, and it's usually only one profession represented in a specific chapter, if you will. And everybody meets on a weekly basis with the intent of referring business to one another. You get to know who the individuals are, you like them, and then you trust them, and then y'all refer business to each other. So I get both referrals for properties I can manage through my networking and referral partners. I also get referrals for people who need to stay. One of my referral partners, she's actually a representative of Mary Kay. She referred someone to me that was a traveling military person, and they stayed in one of our properties for 90 days. That was a fantastic referral. So you got strong contact groups, casual contact groups. You got special interest groups, could be like a real estate investment group or real estate investment meetups. Go there, say who you are, what you do. My name is Clarence. I operate a travel nurse business. I operate a fully furnished corporate housing business, etc. Let them know what you do. And then word of mouth. Once you continue to do this, people start to just know what you are. There's also nonprofit organizations. So usually you volunteer because you believe in the mission of a nonprofit. But even as such, working on boards of volunteering, you meet other people and you can still express to them what it is that you do. Moving on, number 4, social media groups. Hey, folks, I go on Facebook and I go to different groups. I'm in a group where people are looking, where landlords and tenants congregate. So I'll put out there, hey, I need a 4-bedroom, 2-bath home, and I'm willing to pay $2,000. If you're a landlord, direct message me. I'm willing to put up 3 months of rent up front. I've gotten calls based on that. Join those social media groups. I was in one social media group that talks about where wholesalers and investors are selling their houses and things. And one time there was a property showing. I went to that property showing. It was in Hampton, Virginia, off of something I saw on Facebook. At this event, there was a gentleman, and he had a business partner. His business partner was named Kris Haskins. I get on a call with Kris Haskins. I say, hey, Kris, let's do a Zoom call, 15 minutes. I'm going to tell you who I am. I'd like to know who you are and how we could potentially collaborate. That started from me being in a social media group. I have then done several property partnerships with Kris Haskins, which started with the discipline of going on a social media group. Real estate meetup groups, I already talked about that. And there are other ways. So my question to you is, even if there's a way maybe I did not mention, what are some ways going back to workbook page 4, what are 3 ways that you think you can find property owners to work with? Let's put those in the chat real quick. Maybe there's some ways that I haven't even thought about.
So we're in the workbook page 4, y'all. What are some of the ways? And that RE is big, and even social media. Social media is, obviously you got it there, but
going on podcasts.
Yep, going on just being guests. A lot of times, even that one we looked at with my guy, Tired Landlords, I feel like there was just like, my mentor says the best way to find oil is to go to an oil field.
Right.
Dig in an oil field.
Yeah. Are there meetups where landlords congregate together?
Every month.
Annual landlord convention.
Monthly. They meet monthly.
Right.
Or we meet monthly. Yeah, we got groups
right.
That we meet every month.
Join that organization.
That's a good
Go to
idea.
where they congregate at.
They even have, I would say, let me add one that Section 8 has a list. Because I was a Section 8 guy before, even with that unit, the first one we did, it was Section 8. I was getting ready to put it back on Section 8. So they have a list. You could just go right down to your housing department and get the list from those landlords' phone numbers are right there.
Woo! We're dropping jewels now. Jewels are being dropped. All right. So round up. What other ideas you have of ways that you think we can find property on?
Page 4. Get that brain working, y'all. Page 4. 3 ways to find property owners to work with.
Okay. While they're typing their answers, I rent houses. Woo! Have a shirt that says I rent houses or a jacket that says I rent houses.
I'm not mad at it. I rent houses. Good.
Direct mail if you want.
Non-owner occupied. You know what? I think direct mail would be a beast for this because most landlords are used to getting direct mail with I buy houses.
Right.
But to say that I'm a guy that's want to rent your property and pay you top dollar rent 2 months up front. My mentor, Dan Kennedy, always says, be somewhere that you're not expected to be.
Right. So, all right. So we're going to move on. Property owners and landlords' concerns. So what are the personal network? Absolutely. What are the concerns of the property owner, the landlord, what's in it for the landlord?
That's all we worried about is that.
Yeah. And some of those things could be cash flow, keeping their property in great condition. Some of them like, man, Airbnb, it's parties. I don't want to do that. I mean, that's a valid concern.
You're right.
No subletting. I mean, one of your partners, I was on a live that you were doing, one of your partners, your partner said, I'm not letting anybody make money off my property.
Everybody different.
So folks like, is it legal?
Is it legal to make money? Everybody different, man.
Yeah. Some folks like, I don't want no headaches. Let's see. Dr. Adrian said, displaced workers or people for family from a disaster. Absolutely. And I've been able to service. I've been able to service some of those individuals.
We got somebody coming in tonight where the heat went out, and it's gonna be cold tonight. It's gonna be like 20 degrees in Hampton Roads tonight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So these are some of the concerns of the landlord. And going back to page 4 in the workbook, what are 3 concerns that you believe a property owner landlord would have relating to using their property to do short-term rental? Think about what are some of the concerns you think that they may have. And
I think the big one is, well, for me, I was like, man, I don't want to get the place. I don't want to tear the place up.
Right. And moving on, strategies to communicate to landlords. And before I even talk about any of the strategies, when you do meet with a property owner or a landlord, here's my caveat. Kris, like for example, Kris, you asked me, hey, you have a script that we can use? Yes, there is a script. Here's the caveat to that. You need to try to extract information from the property owner, extract what their concerns are, extract what their pain points are, and be flexible enough not to use this tailored script. And be flexible enough to listen to them, identify what's important to them, and build your dialogue, your presentation based on that, because everyone is going to be different. With that being said, strategies to communicate to landlords. My top one, get them to communicate their pain points to you. You can talk about how you maintain the property and your incentive to do so, how you handle repairs through a certain dollar threshold, the insurance protections you have in place. These things we've already kind of touched on. Your support team, it's not you by yourself that's doing it. You have a whole system in place. If you're beyond your first property, do you have pictures, videos of other properties that you managed? Testimonials from other satisfied partnerships or other influencers, references from other happy landlords. And I want to stay here for a second. Sometimes third-party validation is going to be stronger than you saying something. So, and that even goes back to the networking aspect and even having referral partners. If Kris trusts Robin and Robin says, Kris, I think Clarence can help you with your problem. Kris trusts Robin. Now that trust can transfer to me. So sometimes having strategic partnerships where someone can vouch for you, third party validate for you, that also helps. Let's see. Offer to pay more months of rent up front. This is a strategy that I've implored, and I've also done this where, for example, I had a property in Hampton, Virginia. This is actually a lease option property. I knew that this property owner, they had a shaky tenant, and they were getting rent half of the time. And so I went to this property owner. Actually, they were a tax client of mine. So the trust was already there. And how we struck a deal was, I said, listen, I think they were supposed to be getting $900 a month in rent. And they said half the time they was getting $500. So I said, listen, let me know when your tenant's lease is up. He's like, look, I can get them out as soon as whenever if you want to do something. And I said, well, let's structure the deal this way, Mr. Property Owner. I said, I want an option to purchase this property within 3 years at the market rate of what it was at the time. I said, what I want to do is I'll pay you $4,000. I'll pay you 4 months of rent up front. But I want early access to the property. And because might take me a couple of months to get this property up. So essentially, I got 2 free months up front because I offered to pay 4 months in advance. So technically, you ain't seeing another check from me for 6 more months. So that's a strategy you could use. Offer to pay more months of rent up front. Offer to pay a more attractive rent. Caveat, provided you do your financial analysis. So you go to your property analyzer, you plugged in all of your expenses that you believe that you're going to have. And if you have enough margin to up the rent where they're happy, then boom, that might secure the deal. Actually, I'm broadcasting live in Portsmouth, Virginia from one of the properties that I manage that I do not own. This particular property, the owner he was getting $1,100 per month. And he's like, Clarence, he's like, my tenant's about to leave. Do you want to take this property? I was like, yeah, I'm interested in looking at it. I got to run the numbers and let you know what we can do. And I said, well, what type of rent are you looking for? He said, I really like to be closer to $1,200. Somebody else is offering me $1,150, but they say, can they get the rent reduced if they don't use a garage? And so after I did my analysis, and because I want a long-term relationship with him, I said, Mr. Property Owner, how about this? Give me a month or two upfront and free rent, and I'm gonna pay you $1,300 a month. He's like, you gonna pay me $1,300 when I only really want it? Yeah, I'm gonna pay you $1,300. Cool. And you see, we are here right now. Offer to pay a bigger security deposit. That's a strategy. I tend not to like that at this point in my career. I usually try to negotiate that I'm not paying any security deposit, but I'm at a different stage in the evolution of my business. I have tangible evidence that I can deliver. Maybe in the beginning of your career doing this, if you're kind of new, that may be the difference in getting your deal done, is to pay a bigger security deposit. Or you can even negotiate that, hey, after a year of prompt payments, that this security deposit turns into X amount of rent after you see that I can do what I say I'm going to do. Offer to be a long-term strategic partnership, with different property owners that I work with. I go and telling them, hey, we're going to do this first property. And what I want you to know is, I think we both know that wealth building includes owning real estate. And And we talk about their strategies of getting more properties, and I'll tell them, hey, let me be your partner. You purchase the properties and own them, I'll manage them for you. And let's keep repeating the process. Get repeat clients. Yesterday, I was at a property of a repeat client. He was like, all right, the property's about ready for you to come do, Clarence. Cool. And I'm looking to go get another one. And I'll just ask him, well, what do you want for that? And actually, I advise him, hey, put me on the front end so we can find a property together that's going to make you a better margin. So these are just different strategies that you can communicate to landlords. Moving on. And this is an elevator pitch, like a 60-second commercial. Like myself, I go to a lot of networking events, and this is something I would use for my referral partners so they can know what I do in a concise way of saying it. Hello, my name is John Doe. I'm with XYZ Firm. We partner with landlords who are tired and frustrated with bad and non-paying tenants. We bring them the rents that they want and desire while keeping their property in showroom condition. If you know of any frustrated landlords, that would be an excellent referral for me. Can you introduce me to those frustrated landlords? Tell that to your referral partners. Let's see. Here's another pitch script, if you will. And again, my caveat with the scripts is you got to be flexible enough not to just stick to this one script and just think the script. I just need to say the script verbatim. You got to extract information from people, understand what their pain points are, understand what their concerns are, and be flexible enough to communicate based on what you get. But if you do want a template, here's another one that you could say to a landlord. Good afternoon, Mr. Property Owner. We run a business that supports travel nurses and other traveling professionals by providing them fully furnished accommodations for them when they come into town for work. Our average travel nurse client tends to stay 60 to 90 days. We do this by partnering with great property owners like yourself. We maintain your property in showroom condition. Otherwise, if it's not in showroom condition, we can't make money. We make the best money when your property is great. So we're incentivized to take excellent care of that for you. In addition, you don't have to worry about any minor repairs, as we have a maintenance team that will timely take care of those issues when they arise. Also, we give you 100% of the rent that you ask for, and we don't take any other property management fees. So we're not going to take 10% or 20% off of the rent that you said that you want. Before I move on, let's take questions.
I love it right there. So when I heard you say that you had enthusiasm, you had emotion, you sounded like you were vigilant about what you were doing, Clarence, not just, well, we can do this, da, da, da. You really have emotion when you talk about this stuff, even when you were talking about it with me.
Right.
To the landlord.
Right. And you have to have the mindset. You are a resource that can help solve their problems. And here's the other thing, Roundup. Here's what I want you to also condition in your mind. Some people are going to tell you no. There's a phrase, what is it? Some will, some won't. So what? Who cares? Next. Some will, some won't. So what? Who cares? Next. Everybody is not going to say, yes, you can take my property. Move on. Now, all right, what was that other question?
Oh, and move on. Oh, you dropping that down. James, what do you do if the property is managed by property management? Do you talk to the manager or directly to the landlord?
Great
Good one
question.
right there, brother.
That is a good one. What I would do if you believe in this specific property manager, I wouldn't go direct to a property management company. I would go find a specific property manager, and if there's a way to build a relationship with that property manager. And if you know somebody, if y'all have a mutual contact together, professional contact, ask your mutual contact, can they make an introduction for you? Can they speak highly of you? So now when you're meeting with the property manager, you're getting a vouch from a third party that they already know and trust. And you can kind of just share with them you can share with them, one, what you are looking for in business, and then ask them what do they need in their business. Actually set it up where y'all can possibly become referral partners. I think that, for me, that's how I would approach that.
Gotcha. Kris P, he is a travel nurse. He's talking about this is what he has experience in. Kris, what do you have experience in? We got to bring him in. We'll bring him on in a minute.
Yeah. Let's get him in.
We get him in, and I'll send you that check. Kris, email me give me your email so I can send you the invitation to come into the video room. B Mac, which negotiation strategy works best? Higher rent, more rent up front. So when you approach me, that's the beautiful thing about being a landlord, in my opinion, Clarence. We know we're not getting money. I mean, when I have it's
Right.
almost like a real landlord knows he ain't getting money for 60 days.
Right.
A new landlord, go ahead.
Yeah. I'm gonna read the question again. Which negotiation strategy works the best? Higher rent or more rent up front, or another strategy? Honestly, the answer is it depends, and you kind of got to be flexible enough to figure out which one
you're
they're
talking
going to bite, which one that they're going to bite on. And
higher rent, and in my opinion, from a guy, from my perspective, it's irrelevant to me. I'm getting 1,100, 1,200. I mean, it ain't gonna change my bottom line, but so much.
I would, going back to that question, I would try to avoid higher rent. I'd rather give you more rent up front because I got to pay for them. Assuming I have the cash to pull it off, I'd rather give you more rent up front. And if I entice you with a larger amount of money, then I'm also going to say I want more free months up front too. Look, I give you $10,000. I want 3 free months of rent.
That's easy. Well, see, that's the thing. I wanted y'all to understand that most real landlords, we already know when the tenant moves out, you got 2 months empty anyway. So it's irrelevant. Like, okay, 2 months, you get money from me. That's how I was. I was like, man, I ain't getting no money anyway for 2 months. So does it really matter?
Right. And which leads to a couple other things I'm thinking about.
What
is if you can actually perform, and it's kind of outside the scope of this, but for some folks, they might have that skill set to do it. If you can actually perform a light rehab for a property owner, meaning you could go in there, repaint, do more of the cosmetic stuff. That's a value add to them that they don't have to do it. And that also increases negotiation position. Are you transparent about the insurance coverages that you will put in place? Yes, I'm very, because to me, that's a great selling point. Yeah, so I let them know, yes, I have my own insurance I'm putting in place. I have my home warranties that I'm going to have on this property.
Good. Kris, send me an email. My email is right there in the chat, so I can send you the video invitation there. How would this work in an apartment complex, Clarence?
Well, that is a great question. I tend to stay away from, oh wow, it's snow outside. I tend to stay away from situations where I believe there's going to inherently be more restrictions, or if I do take a property like that, then I have to change my strategy. So, case in point, homeowner associations or condo associations. It could be even a situation where you just got a bunch of nosy neighbors. I'm gonna switch my strategy so where I'm flexible with having, 4 different tenants in a month. But if there's a place that's more restrictive in nature, I change my strategy to where I might convert to I need 30-day minimum stays. So because going back to in most locales, short term is defined as less than 30 days. So there's places where there's restrictions, whether it's from the city, whether it's from homeowner associations, condos. You may not be able to do them less than a 30-day strategy. You may need to go on a 30-day plus strategy. Okay. Just run the numbers to make sure that it still works in that case. All right. Okay. What else we got?
There's so many. What are the most common objections you hear from landlords? No, I skipped over Sam. How do I put myself in front of landlords currently going to eviction? That's a good one.
Kris, I'm gonna let you take that. I'm gonna let you take that one.
Yeah, well, you can do what they do have a service. I have paid ladies to go down to the court. What I used to do years ago, I had a runner that would go to the courthouse and just scrape all the evictions. I bought houses like that. So you can go down there. I would just pay her once a month, go pull all of the unlawful detainers. It's gonna be a little bit of cumbersome to do, but you can do that. You can meet them. They're always a title searcher that's always down there. Just ask them while they're there. They're already going in and out. Just say, hey, would you mind pulling the unlawful detainers for me? It'll give you the landlord's name right there.
Right.
Good question, Sam. Objections from landlords, man? We gotta get to the cleaning part.
We do. So we'll take maybe 2 more. What are the most common objections that you get from landlords, and how do you handle them? One objection, and I've got this before. I don't want the sublet. I don't want nobody making money on my property. Okay, well, it was a pleasure talking to you. Next.
You don't even ask them why?
It depends on the energy of the conversation. If I feel that they're not that open, then
you don't even.
No, and because I'm at a different stage of evolution of where I am at in the business.
I don't even need it. I don't need the problem.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I like that stage.
I'm not trying to oversell. Like, there's enough people. I built my network enough that I get referrals and people want to do business with me at this point. But in the beginning, let me go back to in the beginning, because
I would be like trying to say, why not? You making money? Why you care how much I'm making?
But listen,
What?
Some folks are old school or fixated in their way of thinking. So another concern would be Airbnb. Isn't that party thing? I don't want, parties and my neighbors complaining, which is a very valid concern. And so here's how I would do it with that one. Myself, I would let them know, hey, I completely understand and agree with you as it relates to that. And here's how our business model works a little bit different, because we absolutely don't want any parties or neighbor disturbances as well. Typically with the properties that I manage, I have relationships with my neighbors. They have my phone number. Also, on all of our properties, what we do is we have external outside cameras on all visible areas on the outside of our properties. And any guest that we have that comes into, we have strict guidelines that they must adhere to, which is a strictly no parties allowed policy. And Mr. or Mrs. Property Owner, believe me, the minute we sense nonsense is going on, we shut it down, and we have had some issues of that in the past, and we built the system where we don't have that anymore. We shut it down, and we have
And you
zero.
got cameras on there to, I mean, when.
Mhm.
So BMAC, good question. So Clarence has seen it all. I'm telling you, during the pandemic, I love my ladies, man, but my strippers ain't had nowhere to go to make money. They had nowhere to go. So I feel like I was like the stripping host. I don't know. They must have knew, they must have talked, but I was just,
Some
ooh,
people got properties that they attract that type of clientele. I've heard of it.
that's me, No disrespect to
Woo!
no. They had to make their money. I wasn't mad at them, but I
Yeah.
had to shut that down. So